Hello everybody, welcome to Drawing with Waffles. Today I am drawing Madeline Hatter from Ever After High. Basically it's a TV show that was designed to sell these dolls. If you've ever heard of Monster High, it's the same concept except fairy tales. Basically it's about these girls that are like descendants of the original characters from the fairy tale world, and they're in school and there's a bunch of destiny blah 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 stuff. Anyway, she's been very highly requested for me to draw Maddie, and for the longest time I put off drawing her for the main reason of I was kind of ashamed that I knew exactly who these people were talking about when they asked me to draw her. Yeah, it's a very cute show. I get entranced by the way their hair bounces up and down when they're like talking and they like move their heads. Like it's just a very, very bouncy, flowy, bright and happy show, even though it's got some kind of dark elements at times, but it's very, very cute. It's definitely for a younger demographic. If you do get the chance to watch it, I can probably guarantee you that you will want to draw at least one of the characters. Like one of them will jump out at you as like gorgeous beyond belief and you'll want to draw their outfit. My favorite design definitely was Maddie Hatter, who is supposed to be the daughter of the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. And she's just very, very crazy. And she's really cute and funny, and she like can talk to the narrators even though no one else can. So just for that reason alone, she's just great. And that's why I decided to draw her. As for the pose and the facial expression, I wanted it to encompass her goofy personality. So her pose is very like, oh, like, woohoo, I don't know. That's not a description, but that was my thought process when I came up with the pose. And then also her face, I wanted it to be very like, what's going on? I'm not quite sure. But she's still happy anyway, so that's why she's staring like straight into your soul, like just straight into you. And she just looks pretty crazy. And I partly don't like it, but I also really, really love it because it's just very much her. But it's not exactly the prettiest of faces, but that's okay. But that is something that kind of reminds me of the show. Well, it actually goes against the show, is that they all have like the exact same Barbie face, which is something that kind of bothers me. They all, I guess it's the dolls too, they all have like the same face and the same eyeballs. They're just different colors and different color makeup, and they all have like too much makeup on. And I mean, they look nice, but it's just like, it's borderline like, I think you need to wear a little less for like a doll that's supposed to be targeted towards like, I don't know, 8-year-olds or something, but that's just my opinion. Doing the line art now. As for the line art, this is kind of funny. I haven't drawn like a finished illustration since my Powerpuff Girls drawing, which I think was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I've been drawing like a lot of like Magna Girl concept art, thumbnails and stuff like that. So it's a lot of very quick sketches, just getting my mind on paper, you know, keeping it simple, all that like I talked about in my Easter video. But I couldn't remember how to do this. It sounds so sad. This used to be how I always drew. But I had to like mentally tell myself, okay, now I'm doing a second sketch layer. And then once I finished that, I was like, okay, it's time for the line art. And there was this point in time when I was like, wait, I almost started doing the line art with like a 35-point brush, which is crazy for this because that's more like my sketch brush. And so I was like, oh, wait, I need to use a 10-point brush if I'm going to do line art because I'm actually going to like draw a finished illustration. And it was like I was fighting with myself to get myself to remember how to do this. Anyway, yeah, that was probably the hardest part of this whole drawing, besides maybe like the complicated textures on the fabric and everything. But I actually had a lot of fun with that because whenever something gets really, really complicated, or like, well, maybe I should mention that when I get there, but when I get to the top portion of her dress, it's almost like a disco ball if you look at it, the way it's colored and the way it like reflects light. And it took me a couple tries to get it right to look kind of like a disco ball, and so that one was a lot of fun. But when it comes to like, which one was it? I think it's the top layer of her skirt. It's got like a lot of embroidery and like designs that kind of mimic that stuff you can see on her teapot. It kind of looks like that. Not teapot, that's a teacup. And her shoes, they're there too. There's a lot of that on there, and like at first I kind of feel like, oh, I don't really feel like drawing all these textures, but then as you start doing it, like it starts coming into your brain and it's different. It's more like, you know, it's very calming, and like you start doing like a very similar thing with your wrists, and you kind of just zone out until you get it done. And even if you didn't want to do it originally, you'd still able to do it just because I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm gonna move on. Anyway, I'm adding colors in now. I tried not to zoom in too much when I was dumping in all the colors for this, mostly because I know when I speed up the video, when I zoom in and out, it's gonna be crazy and like everything's gonna be flashing. So I tried to do as very little zooming in and out as I could when I was coloring this in. And if you look over to the right, you can see the return of my color keys. The ones I haven't done those in a while. I don't know when the last time I did that was. But I just sketched out all the colors. So basically what I do to get a color key is because I don't really want to use an actual copyrighted image in my video for grabbing the colors. So I'll do that off camera and just draw. If you'll see on the far right there, it's just a very quick sketch. It's not meant to be pretty. It's just meant to show me what colors go where. And that's the point of that, and that's what it's used for. Anyway, you can see I did the disco ball top, and how I did that actually was I colored it in the dark, it's almost like a dark cream, it's almost gray, and then I drew over that with the lighter, what is that, a cream color? Yeah, a light cream color, and I drew just lines going up and down, and then to left and right, making these darker cubes. And then when I colored it, at first I just colored it with just my soft shading technique, and I realized that wasn't really working. It didn't really look like a disco ball anymore, even though I had added the textures. So what I did was I shrank my brush a little bit, and then I went in and colored each square individually. So I would turn down the opacity in my brush, and then I'd color each cube, and then I'd, like, if I colored over it again, it would get brighter, and if I colored over it less, then it would get darker. And then that's what ended up with that cute, it looks like a disco ball because there's different cubes that are reflecting a different amount of light, because if you have a disco ball, depending on the angle of the little mirrors, you're going to get a different amount of light reflecting back towards you. So that was the idea behind that. I don't know if it's not very technical, but it's just you got to keep these things in mind when you're trying to color different textures. And that's what helped me. I didn't use a reference, probably should have, but that was just, I just remembered, like, oh, what's a disco ball? And why does it look like a disco ball? Why doesn't it just look like a marble if it's all glass? But eventually I came up with something that worked pretty well, just by thinking. I was in too much of the zone to use a reference, which isn't something that's good, but I wanted to get this done, and I was having a lot of fun, so I just went for it. Anyway, here I am adding the soft shading, so this is before I realized that a lot of these parts of her dress are very textured, and so I was still like going gung-ho. I was like, I'm going to do a full soft shaded illustration because I haven't done anything in so long, but then I kind of slowed down a little bit. There is a little bit of soft shading in there, but for the most part, it's quite simple. Oh, here I'm adding that texture to her top layer of her skirt. And I think I'm done adding all the colors, so I deleted the color key, added that gobs of makeup, and added a shadow. And then I actually did add a few things off camera. I think I darkened her eyes a little bit, and I added, see, some details down there on her shoes. Up here I made that bottom layer more translucent, and I added some shines too, like her necklace. And I remembered to finally add her spoon earrings, and that's the finished illustration. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you like Ever After High, if you watch it on, YouTube or Netflix or something. I've seen it on both, so it's around. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all next week. I hope you have a delicious evening. Bye!